Prepare yourself for a sprawling discussion on just about anything, where critical thinking meets pop culture in a collision of mind-bending proportions. Please secure all neurons and prepare for full frontal cortex. It's time for Incoherent Ramblings.
Hello, everybody! We made it! We got through the first 10 seconds of silence, and now here we are at Incoherent Ramblings! Woo! Ramble
Microphone's
0,
here, Joey.
1.
This was really early to lose.
4.
How did that happen?
0, 1, 4. 14. We're on number 14.
Yes.
And it's Death Bits.
And I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, it's a shame. All right.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Go on.
Okay, so I'm Joey Schammel, and we've also got... Am I the host? Is that my official
You're still
host?
there.
This is your host, Joey Schammel. And also we got...
Paul Hottinger.
Cale Anderson.
And Daryl George, and I'm covering my death bits.
We also have our foreign correspondent, Booger!
Hey.
And
Let's call him Delay from now on.
Yeah. And our observation... Ralph Niederlander.
Shifting sands.
He's Martin. Yeah, that's him. He'll yell out when he feels like it. So here we are. And today's, of course, sponsor for Death Bits is Apocalypse Now. X-Men Apocalypse.
So when I
Does nothing.
This is circa 1991 Apocalypse.
That was good, Joey.
I was
Like he was actually.
I was showing his face to the microphone.
Did everybody see that?
All you in microphone land can see that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Apocalypto, because he's Death Bits, so he's the Marvel. This is Marvel.
Yeah, it's circa
universe?
like 1990 X-Men figure.
Oh, X-Men.
Yes, with extending feet
Oh,
to
hell
make
yeah.
them bigger.
Wow.
Gotta get off there. Hey.
Get over
I
this
think you
inferiority complex of being
dislocated a
short.
kneecap.
But he is the harbinger of death, sort of.
A bit.
You know, I think you're the one that brings the mascot every year. What?
Huh?
No, Joey brings the
Joey
one
and I,
fall of
yeah.
Cybertron ones.
I bring him, but he's got more available.
Yeah.
Because
He's
mine
got
are all...
Like, how many of these bloody things do you have?
Dude, we're toy collectors.
Dude.
We got like a bazillion. We're going to
This
start
is
our own show.
only episode 14.
Yeah. We're going to start a toy
We've
collecting
got
show.
at least
Ladies and gentlemen out there,
number of
one of the
toys.
things in planning for Paul and I is the Incoherent Rambling Toy Show. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna bring like everything, and well,
I wish you all the luck in the world with that, especially in today's economy.
So you
We're
can
not
have
trying
the
to make
toys be
money.
panelist.
no, we're not gonna. I'm not selling that
That would
stuff.
be awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm
Death...
going to do Taco Bell commercials.
Okay.
I need to take a break to advertise Taco Bell.
Go for it.
Not Del Taco.
All
And
right.
apparently you're also advertising the ThinkPad on our little YouTube thing.
Whoops.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, that's product placement. right there.
Did I? Oh, sorry.
Brought to you by Lenovo.
Brought to you by ThinkPad.
yes.
All right. Enough advertisers.
So here we go. Death Bits. What the hell are they? So why don't we start off with some of the people who know about Death Bits, which would not probably be Paul and I, because we're the colorful commentary here. The actual knowledge bases of these
Yes.
two guys. And
we're in trouble then.
who I'm sure researched Death Bits tremendously. So what are Death Bits? Somebody tell us here. Kale or Daryl?
Go, Daryl.
All right. So with us moving more and more online, our lives are turning from the physical into the digital. And I think that if you look at things like home movies, photographs, communicating with other people, where does all that happen now? It's all online. Mm-hmm. So if you think about the future, what are our kids and our grandkids going to be looking at when they pull out memories of our lives? It's not necessarily going to be a shoebox full of old faded photos.
No, it's
That
going
might
to be
just
a
be-
bunch of photos of embarrassing moments.
Like this.
Passed out
yeah.
drunk.
Internet.
Okay, see,
On
for us, it's not.
Facebook, right?
For us, it's
Okay.
not passed out drunk.
that's
For us,
true.
it's wearing Captain America mask,
Oh my gosh.
Iron Man mask.
Just think
Thor
about our
helmet.
digital
Holding
legacy.
into the microphone.
This Google Hangout is going to be part of the earth forever.
Oh, no.
And our
Unless
children
Google blows up.
and everyone that comes after us is going to see. Well, that's true.
Hello, future. Hello, future. Hello.
We used to think time capsules were a good idea.
Yeah, you go bury them. Now it's just.
Well, we also used to think that 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typewriters would eventually produce the works of Shakespeare.
Well,
the internet proved that wrong too.
no.
Or an episode of Incoherent Ramblings.
But that made Catwoman.
But that's true. For the Catwoman video.
That was on Sci-Fi.
Wait,
by the way.
for a little behind the scenes. We're not going to hear you. This is too confusing.
Don't talk to Booger,
Microphone
talk to the
there, camera over there. Okay, for those.
Move this closer.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, for the third time.
Okay.
Booger down the third
People
time.
listening to our podcast, you got to watch the YouTube thing because you don't know what the hell's going on.
We got to booger down.
Actually, avoid it at all costs.
Okay, yeah, maybe you should. Okay, we'll also put on the show notes behind the scenes of what we did before this show during our party and Catwoman. Wow.
Yeah, Halle Berry.
Okay, so so this is going to be online forever, and that's a death bit. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
what we're talking about
Thank
is,
you, everybody.
we're kind of.
You have to die first, then it becomes a
Oh, okay.
So your legacy
It's a live
lives
bit.
on.
All right, Cal, dude, keep that pinky away.
So what we're thinking about is just kind of like the elephant in the room. It seems like not many people give a lot of attention or thought to the fact that, when we're gone, what happens to all this stuff? Who owns the digital assets we have? Who's in charge of carrying out our wishes? There's some things we probably want to have disappear after we're gone, and other things that we want to leave to our next of kin or for humanity to remember us by. So the question is, is the legal system ready for all of this? What happens with user agreements that we have with different entities? And how do we actually navigate getting through this, and who can help us after we're gone?
Well, isn't the Frontier Foundation, that they're the ones who talk a lot about the future of the internet and of what online content is going to be. And so they're actually a group of lawyers that are trying to decide what we should do.
Is that their full name? Is
The
it
Frontier Foundation.
Frontier Foundation.
So LegalZoom doesn't do it
I
right
thought
now?
it was. It's not Digital Frontier.
You're right. It's the Digital
it?
Frontier
LegalZoom
Foundation.
will do it.
Sorry, I just.
No, I'd rather have it said correctly.
Okay.
It'll be in the show notes.
I wasn't certain we were talking about the same thing. That's why.
Well, okay, so you're right. All of our data, because we're talking about not just film and video, but also like information. I think that's a big thing. I mean,
Well, email, letters, love letters you write to.
but even like bank information.
Like that love letter you sent me last week. Dude, just.
No. You gotta remember, it's 2013. That's okay to do now.
not for me.
10 states so far.
I'm in the new army now. Don't Ask, Don't Tell doesn't exist.
He's in the army now. Woo! So, what about intellectual property rights in the states and all of that privacy rights? I'm reading this. Privacy rights. No rights are all digital forms. So, what does that mean for when you die? What's it mean? What's going on? What's that?
Huh?
Well-
What? Who?
Okay.
What?
Intellectual property rights. I own a song that I wrote. This is my
right.
song. Pig Stomp.
Pig Stink Stomp.
Pig Stink Stomp, our beginning music. Kale, Daryl, you guys die. Who owns the song?
shit.
Sorry.
That was quite a way to go.
Damn.
So who owns the song now that it's making millions of dollars?
We do.
Linda
Well, I think
does.
that's the kind of thing that
Just like
it's worth thinking about, so that you can have it written into your will.
Yeah, because
So can have
it's would it be because it could either be owned by you guys, or since you made it for the podcast, as it'd be the podcast.
We'd have to designate
But
that.
if-
yeah.
if
But
you
then
did
legally,
designate-
we may have to be like an incorporation or something,
Right.
for it to legally make money off of it.
Talking about like the history of this kind of thing, that's the kind of issue that you would go over in the bylaws for incorporating, because that's exactly one of the things you have to think about. You're going into some venture as partners. What happens if one of the partners dies?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to decide ownership and who does what and who.
And I think the problem is more along the lines of if you don't make decisions about that, because let's say Pig Stink Stomp,
You got it.
I got it. Doesn't get popular till after you guys die, and somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to play this on my website," and then it gets popular, and the guy could just be like, "Oh, this is mine," right?
Well, according to what we said on our site, about the intellectual property. We allow anybody to take what we have and
That's true, because
change
we
it.
have
So
it
for us,
under a
it's, so
creative
it's
commons.
basically you're saying it's just a bad example.
Kind of like,
Now that
because
we realize that,
haven't
yes.
Change
on
that.
on what we produce here as Incoherent Ramblings, we haven't asserted our rights of ownership.
Yeah.
We're basically saying,
But
you can distribute this, you can remix it. You have to give attribution though. So that's the thing. Like even
Okay.
whether
Yeah.
dead or alive, someone has to give us the attribute of creating the thing.
And because this is a electronic show.
Block the mic. Sorry, I didn't mean to block the mic. Okay.
Don't touch the microphone. Don't block the mic. Stop that. It's freaky. Okay, so since this is an electronic media, that stop it. Since it's an electronic media, okay, I don't know what I was gonna say anymore. You guys are freaking me out. I want to choose. It's like in my head. All right, these headphones are really good. Okay, dude.
well, I want to say, you
Go
know,
ahead, Paul. Yeah,
with the
I'm
with
just gonna
the
recover over here.
with being digital and stuff with copyright, like what we're doing right now, it's being time stamped. So we are at some level copyright everything as we're developing it digitally and stuff. So it's like if I write a letter or whatever, and it's has the date of today at 10 p.m. or whatever, that is, I own that. I can go back and prove at this time I created that.
Yeah.
So at least with the
But
digital,
if you're
we're
dead, it doesn't make any difference. If you're dead, you can't come and say, I own it.
But
Kids
this
can.
all of this gets muddled.
but would I
though,
have to leave it
because
to them, like in writing?
I think that's
Like,
one of the
who would-
distinctions we're drawing here is that, you know, you're talking about something physical. You write a letter and you have the rights to that because it's something physical, and you
And there's
have a
already laws
timestamp on
about
it.
that.
Right now, where the law gets muddy is things like, what about this Google Hangout we're recording right now? This thing doesn't exist in our possession. It's only being recorded to a Google server. So now,
Did
depending
you
on
just
what
say
the
a giggle server?
Yeah, because it's true. It technically Google would own this being on their server.
Well, it depends
That's
what their user agreement says. And that's the thing, is that these laws are being basically created on the fly, usually with corporate interests in mind, because it's not I don't want to make it sound like I'm being anti-corporate with that statement, because the thing is that I know these companies, due to the way that the law works, they have to assert ownership of most of the things you upload, because if they don't, then they're violating your copyright law by making backups of it, or transferring it from one server to another, or someone else on the internet, you want to share it with them, they get a copy. That's also distribution.
Yeah.
So the thing is, most of these user agreements basically say you give up your right of ownership to anything you upload.
Oh, so it's all that
Like,
stuff we
like your
click.
pictures on Facebook.
When we click agree, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, you're becoming the human centipede.
yeah, the human centipede.
Like I post a picture on Facebook
Yeah.
of me or whatever, and it's technically Facebook owns that now.
Right.
And they
Right.
could use it for
The thing is, historically, they
Whatever.
usually don't assert their ownership of it. If say that picture became newsworthy for some reason, and like Time wanted to put it as their magazine cover, and they're going to pay you so much money for that, chances are Facebook would not jump in and say, hey, I want a cut of this. I don't necessarily have a case to point out this, but usually they don't assert ownership of those things. But they have to legally, in order to distribute it to
Yeah.
their server network and make backups and all that stuff that you expect them to do.
yeah. They're protecting their
Right.
butts so
Exactly.
so they're not pirating.
Interesting. What if an evil, maniacal maniac took over Facebook and said, I'm going to...
Like Apocalypse?
Yeah, like Apocalypse. I'm going to...
Oh, well, a
Own all these now.
maniacal maniac?
That was... that was...
That was
Booger, you didn't hear that, but that was freaky.
He's
yeah,
Cyloning.
He's Cylon, right?
You Cylon right at Maniac. That was awesome. Like you, yeah. So, yeah, but what if someone decided to, like, enforce these laws? I mean, they could, right?
Well, all my paintings that I've done and all the photos that I've taken that are on Facebook, I guess they could take them away from me, you know, if they
I
really
think in a way
wanted.
there's a little bit of a mob rule going on, though, because like if anybody lost their photos, etc.,
yeah.
to like say, the example of the Time magazine thing. Say Google or Facebook just said, "Oh, you uploaded that to our servers. Now we get the $1 million from Time magazine." Well, you could just post that all over the place and get like a mob to support you, and I'm sure they would back down. So I don't think there's a lot of risk of them violating your rights.
That's not mob rule, though. That's dollar rule. The only reason they would back down is because then they know they would lose a lot of money from business in the future. So it's not the mob themselves. It's
from the mob.
Agreed.
They'd lose the money from the mob.
But like for example,
We're not
like
talking
when
about Chicago here.
Chick-fil-A did all their thing, they didn't lose a whole bunch of money from people who decided they're not going to go eat their chicken sandwiches anymore.
Right.
So just because a big mob disagreed with it didn't mean anybody had to cave. It was just a decision, indirectly resulting from that.
But ultimately, money talks.
Yeah, I mean, money does talk, because look at with Facebook and their privacy issues. When they went through and they changed their privacy, everybody, I won't say everybody, but huge amount of people got pissed off, and they changed, they backtracked because it was going to affect their user base.
There were some really interesting things going on with a lot of these companies that that update their privacy and their user agreements. What's interesting is that they're often becoming more precise in their wording. Mm-hmm. But it brings to light things that people didn't realize were possible before. Like, say, Facebook might say something like, "We have the right to send your pictures to other entities and use them in advertising," for example. So, there might be a Pontiac ad or something that shows up on Facebook, and Joey's picture will be on there, and it'll say like, "Hey, I crashed one of the last ones."
I survived.
I survived in my Pontiac. There we go. But the thing is, like, that's using Joey's image without his knowledge to support a particular product. So the thing is that they've gone and outlined things like that, where before they outlined that, they actually put some limits on how they could use it when they specify that. But up to that point, they already had asserted that right, but not spelled it out. Because what they often do with user agreements is they have really broad terminology that gives them big scope of what they can do with your assets. But then when they reword these things, they often narrow the scope, and they're a lot more precise about what they can and can't do. But then that freaks people out, because then they suddenly realize
what they could do.
Right.
Yeah. What they could
I don't want my face on a Pontiac ad, even though they could have done it before.
Like, oh my God,
and
Facebook shouldn't use this, but you could.
I don't want your face on a Pontiac ad either.
I don't want a Pontiac in my face.
I want a Pontiac.
But I guess we're getting maybe a little off the topic of what happens after we die.
Why don't we move on from... I snorted a little bit there. Why don't we move on from that to the idea of password protection, because that is directly after death, and that's a problem. I read the thing that you posted, which was about the lockbox. Okay, let me explain.
Are you going to be Al Gore for a second? Harder than all.
The man bear pig.
After inventing the internet, I invented lockbox.
No, whatever.
Lockbox.
Crap, what was I saying? Lockbox. Okay.
Lockbox.
So, let's say this is a true story. Kid died, killed himself. Information on Facebook. The parents wanted to get in there to see if they can figure out more about why the kid died and everything.
Pretty funny. I didn't read the story,
dude. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah.
No. I mean, I posted it, and you're telling it, and I didn't. I'm not laughing about the kid. No, definitely.
So
not.
That would be wrong.
Yes,
that would be totally wrong.
So they're battling with Facebook to get the password. And they said this is going to be a problem because it's like a lockbox. Imagine the kid put the thing in the lockbox that said, "Who gets everything?" But it's in the lockbox. And in the lockbox it says, "They get the lockbox."
Okay.
But it's in the lockbox.
Right.
So how are you going to open the lockbox to know who gets what?
Yeah, because once if they let the parents get the password, that'll set precedence for other people. I mean, well, at what point is it okay or not okay? to do that? Like, what situation? I understand.
Well, that's a pretty straightforward
you want
one.
it, but then
it brings
is it
up
going to be like Patriot Act, where it's like the government just come in and be like, well, I'll take that one, and that one. Will the parents have the right to do that?
And I think this is speaking to the need to have policy, and that it would be nice if there were some kind of generalized, systematic way of handling this kind of thing that companies could agree to, and maybe it could be like a seal that they put on, like we're, post-mortem approved or something, So
your digital will.
Post-mortem appeal.
Approved. Kid tested. Post-mortem approved.
Because that would violate his privacy.
Exactly.
And privacy does exist. Privacy does exist after death, correct?
I would think.
Yeah.
But except though, look at a case like Anne Frank.
Oh, good point.
She was never given.
Jackson.
She was never given the option to. Well, yeah, Michael Jackson too. But like with Anne Frank's diary, no one ever asked her. I'm certain before she was taken away. Hey, can we use this? If we find your diary, can we publish it? Can we have millions of kids read it in school and everything? And it's interesting to think about that issue of privacy because some of us could be kind of like it's no doubt that the Diary of Anne Frank is such an important work that has contributed to humanity by having it in the public domain. So what if someone has that kind of thing, but it's their wish to keep it private? Would that be kind of selfish of them to keep it away from helping humanity? Or is that their right?
Well, how are they going to know if they have a classic beforehand? I mean, they're not going to know it's a classic until after it's released, so it's kind of predicting a classic.
Well, that's the whole thing. The Diary of Anne Frank is not supposed to be a classic. It's a diary. So how could you ever know
I understand that, but I guess if it hadn't been as well received as it was, and now it's a classic, whether it was nonfiction or not, if it hadn't been well received, it just kind of would have died by the wayside, and then it would have been a non-issue. So that's why, like, in your scenario, you're only presuming people are going to want to perpetuate the works, the authorship and such. If it just says, oh yeah, that's very nice, now let's just ignore it and go on with our stupid music from now on, and they just ignore that piece of work, it's a non-issue. So you're trying to predict its perpetuality.
Well, whether or not it's a classic, I think that I think the question is valid. Is it within your right to keep something out of the public domain when it could be valuable to someone?
Would it be like somebody dying and on their computer it's password protected and there's a file on there that says cure for AIDS? Like it's some scientist that worked for the AIDS Foundation or whatever, or whatnot.
Unlikely, but
yeah. But would you be able? I guess it's justifying.
Would you be able to sequester that just because you wished it to be private? Yeah.
But maybe because it's so.
Well, actually, if you think about it, pharmaceutical companies have been doing that for years already.
True that.
With what?
There have been quite a few medications that pharmaceutical companies have legally denied to produce and release that probably would have treated symptoms or conditions a lot better than the ones that they're releasing now because they can't make as much money.
What?
Yeah.
I would want to see proof of that. I find
it's not about curing people; it's about just keeping them going to pay that extra, get that prescription.
Well, that's like if they're always pushing their new medications, as if 100% of them are better than older medications when that's not true. Some of the old cheap medications that are not in copyright anymore are much better at treating things than
you got to change
some of the new
something
ones.
or you're out of business.
And a lot of the new stuff is not even as good as just moderate exercise. So,
but it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it is.
This is.
I know it's going a little off topic, but damn it had to be said.
I don't know. Being maybe a little more skeptical about that issue, I would just have to say I would want to see proof that things have been suppressed. Because I think if anyone had
if you saw the proof, they'd have to kill you.
Well, if anyone had the cure to something major like that, wouldn't they want to accept the Nobel Peace Prize for curing AIDS, for example? I mean, there's a lot.
Not the corporation wouldn't. They wouldn't care. I don't think.
Well, actually, there's a better example of things where I actually do have. I don't have proof on me, but I can produce them easier. Where the automobile industry has.
Oh no! We better listen to
him. Who have determined better ways to make it. What?
You were chopping up.
They're trying to take you down,
Yeah,
Booger.
dude, they're listening to you. He's down.
Drug companies are suppressing him.
Yeah, there also seems to be really good proof, though, that the Twin Towers were taken down from the inside.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no,
All right,
what I'm saying
I'm
is
just
there
saying
are
you can
no
get proof.
documented
All right, we're having skepticism
incidents of people who had developed
I know.
better.
I'm the host. I am putting my foot down.
Only at a half hour. This is amazing.
Hey, I had to take charge here.
Okay,
I'm
take
taking charge.
Get us back on track,
you?
Joey.
All right.
Ship it?
All right.
So all I have to say is, what are our options for death? If our information is going to be out there after we die, I of course am going to live forever. But for those of us who are going to die, what can we do?
I think we need a contingency plan when we die because, like for me, there are websites and forums and stuff that I've forged relationships or what not like that type of relationship, but, or I know people where suddenly if I die and just disappear, I would hope that people say, hey, what happened to Paul and stuff. But I would want to put something together to where if I die, Joey, can you go on these sites and just state Paul is dead or something?
Well, I think that's one of the things is that like it's,
Stop.
we
The walrus is Paul.
as a society we tend to not want to
Cuckoo.
talk about death much anyway.
Yeah, that's
And then the
actually
thing
true.
is, especially when you're young or if you still feel young, you're just kind of going like, I can worry about
Yeah,
that some
later,
other day.
next time.
But then you're in some major car accident and it's over and you didn't expect it.
I think fairly
Or you're
soon.
51 and you have to think about it.
Yeah, that could be a really shitty thing. Oh, did I say shitty?
Dude!
So wait. But then there's also the superstition, and I
It's
hate
like
this.
the most blue we've ever been.
It's because we got
We
blue
got a
balls.
blue-
Oh wait, no.
There's no.
Blue ball. Okay, now what I was saying was, damn it.
I don't know.
Okay,
So what are
Do you
our
ever wanted to
options?
start an episode over again?
no, that is against the bylaws of images. I'm not
Wrong company.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Incoherent. Why do we have to have another company start with an I? Okay. So what I was going to say with options is I don't remember.
Booger's like, these people are dorks. I want a new group. Look at that look on his face.
What were we just talking about?
Death.
Shit. 51. Don't give a shit. I was going to say there's the superstition that if you talk about death, that someone's going to die. And so a lot of people really give into that superstition. Like, let's not talk about death because then my
you're
uncle
gonna
talked
you're
about
gonna
death and
jinx
he
it or
died
something.
the next day.
What I was going to say was that
And he talked about
I
death
think
every day.
I think fairly
Exactly.
soon that a lot of options when you sign up for things are going to have at least one item that relates to a kind of a death bit.
Yeah.
I think it's going to become more and more common, especially within the next 5 years, because now people are starting to be aware of
It's
it.
going to slap everyone in the face once someone they know who's online dies, and then they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, now what's going to happen to all their stuff?"
Right.
And I've read about people who say like they lose someone in their family, and then every time they log into Facebook, there's their picture,
Yeah.
and it's sitting there like they still have an online account and everything.
We lost Booger.
We did.
Van Tongren?
No,
Well, we just
he's-
lost the
you're
picture.
still
There you
here.
go.
Tim
Yeah,
Van
that
Tongeren.
would suck if someone's on Facebook, you log in, and because of the advertisement, it'd be like, hey, like let's say
Yeah.
Joey died, and like everybody goes and
no,
says,
yeah,
Joey
like,
likes
How would you
Cheetos.
like to promote Joey?
I'm like,
That has actually already happened, guys.
Yeah.
Remember Tim Van Tongren? You remember how he passed away? I've actually saw a picture of his posted as not an advertisement, it was
Then
somewhere
who
else
would
on
want to ship
Facebook.
Joey's pants.
Wait, Tim Van Tongeren died?
who?
Yeah.
Was he that tall guy from high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yes, he was.
What happened?
I don't remember if you go to his Facebook page at documents, he had some sort of condition. He died a couple years ago.
Did he leave any death bits?
I don't know.
So let's
Well,
look up-
let's talk about death bits then. Whoa! Look, I brought that back around.
Yeah, that was slick.
Yeah, that's slick. So you can not do anything and it doesn't matter. You don't care, and everything will just whatever happens because you're dead, right? Mm-hmm. So what about you leave it to your friends and family? Is that the way to go? I mean, it seems to be the best. That's what we do now for the most part.
Or an executor. Well, an executor that's either friend, family, or a professional that
Or
handles that for you.
Or
Or
artificially intelligent.
okay.
have Siri
You
take
might
it
have to
over.
wait a little while for that.
But maybe
I don't want Ramona figuring out what happens to my Google Plus
Well,
account.
all you gotta you hook up your Nike Plus band up to your. So when you die and it starts reading your pulse,
Right.
It tells Facebook that you're dead, and then it just
And
gets
it can
posted.
That's kinda like
activate
an-
your
and it goes on
demon.
Twitter.
An Internet of Things
Yeah,
idea.
and then you accidentally take it off or something.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well, yeah, that's
Daryl's
the thing.
dead.
Daryl's back.
False
It deletes
positives are
everything
always
else.
going to be an issue, but if the Internet
man.
of Things really happens, where like your home has 1,000 different devices in it that are internet connected, eventually the consensus of all the motion detectors and your biometric feedback and everything will eventually come to the conclusion, oh, so and so's dead.
All your furniture will vote whether you're dead or not.
oh, he hasn't been laying on me for a while. I miss it.
Hey, toilet, has he pooped on you in the last week?
All right,
There was blood in that stool.
the ottoman and the recliner say aye. And the sofa says nay. The
Yeah.
ayes have it.
So okay, so then I think that's a good point. In the future, it's not going to be a problem because we will have taken care of it. I mean, the big issue is going to be between now and then.
But we can't just sit back and expect.
Right,
it
I'm
to
not
sort
saying
itself
I'm not
out.
saying that. I'm saying when all those things are, when the furniture is talking to us,
Out of place. Ugh.
when the furniture is talking to us or whatever,
Right.
it's going to be taken care of by that point. The big problem is going to be how do we get to that point without that technology? Like, how do we, for example, tell the internet we're dead? There's so many parts of the internet that we're connected to that are not connected to each other. We'd have to go to each individual thing to say that this person's gone.
Yeah, because
It's not an
there
easy
are a lot
one
of
button.
walled gardens.
Right,
on the
exactly.
internet.
Yes, good example.
You got to first of all
silos.
tell AOL you died. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
I
you
know.
got to move on to Facebook and
You
Google
are
Plus.
dead.
MySpace.
MySpace. Isn't MySpace dead itself?
I think it died.
Xtube.
No, it lives on. It does live on.
Oh, that's right. Now it's
Music.
And more.
So the thing is, just to keep track of like all the things I do online, I have to have this huge list.
Are you drowning, Booger?
It's like an encrypted note that I have. That it's this huge list of just things that I have like accounts with. And the thing is, it used to be that someone passes on, you had an executor take care of the banks and the investments
Yeah.
and things like that. But now there are like so many social things online. And all these different places you have to go. It's just got to be this huge mess, especially since no one has the same policy from place to place. At least it's looking hopeful that a few companies are thinking about this. It was a few years ago I heard about
Dude, you're being incredibly rude.
profiles on Facebook can be
Somebody
memorialized.
is
welcome.
trying to talk.
Yeah.
So you can basically, if
I would say
someone passes on, you can basically notify Facebook, and they ask you for some kind of proof, like a death certificate or an obituary. He's in the bleeding obituaries,
Yeah.
and that's just a reference to a film we did, a long time ago. So you have to offer some evidence, and then they can memorialize the profile. And then that way it doesn't show up in all the searches.
No. But it archives it.
there
It
aren't-
kind of
it
archives
archives
their
it.
digital life on Facebook.
No one can make new posts
Yeah.
under that name. And so there are several actions that they take. So it seems like kind of a nice thing to do. Another aspect of it is you can't memorialize someone who's already dead. They have to have a profile first when they're alive, and then you can memorialize it. If you want to set up a memorial for someone, you can do a Facebook page, that kind of thing. So now this is the interesting thing that you were talking about false positives. If it's like feedback from your Nike band.
Yeah.
What if someone just wants to prank you and they make a fake obituary and send it to Facebook? Then all of a sudden you show up the next day dead, and everyone panics and it's like, oh my gosh, Joey's dead.
Well,
Why is it always me?
He died in a Pontiac crash.
The good thing with social media is like look at all the hopes of like Morgan Freeman died or so and so
Yeah,
died.
every
There's so
couple
many
months somebody
avenues of
is
social. If you
pranked.
put on there like, oh my god, Nike says this, I'm dead.
The news of my
It's
death
going
was
to be
greatly
like
exaggerated.
you have enough people in your social network to kind of debunk that for the false positives.
Right.
At least you hope because you're in
But
contact.
then again,
with them.
like, what's Facebook's policy? I think it's kind of unknown what they do.
Dude, Booger. Now, we know you're part of the color commentary. I wouldn't say that.
he's-
Wait, that's kind of racist. But I know that... I mean, let Daryl talk, man.
I'm not stopping him. I'm not saying anything for crying out loud.
You're making
waxing
all...
your chair.
Yeah, are you waxing your chair? What the hell? You were making so many noises tonight.
and it was appreciated.
Bring your camera down low too.
Bring your camera down. We're seeing.
We don't see your mouth. Yeah.
Hey, Booger, can you do
No, not that low.
There we go.
All right, Booger, can you just follow along, okay? Because we know where you're at with your camera there.
I can't make out a thing you're saying. What?
Okay, we know where you're at with your camera, right? So I want you to go, I just shipped my bed! Do it.
We're watching.
We're all watching.
I can't hear what you're saying is now coming to sound like a Cylon.
We want you to sing.
Never mind.
Stop it!
In my bed.
Ship.
I think this episode died.
No, what did you do? Oh, no.
All right. I think we've had almost 10 seconds of silence here. Let's get back to the topic.
Okay. Death bit.
Let's start.
Yeah, let's start. Worst episode ever.
I know, but so much fun.
This is my episode.
This is a death bit.
Oh, my God.
Hey, we're not done. We got more to talk about. Okay, so awareness is low because the internet is still young. As more of the first generation internet users pass on, will it get more? No, sorry.
Let me quiz everyone here.
Go.
Because they made a lot of news recently that Google Plus had this abandoned account policy that they're doing. Mm-hmm. Inactive account manager, they call it. How many of you thought about this before? I know I brought it up some time ago, but did any of you think about this?
Well, I thought about it because that over almost 2 years ago, I created that memorial Facebook page for my father.
Oh, okay.
And he's been dead since 1970 something.
And he had a profile before, or you made a page?
I made a page.
Okay.
I made a page on Facebook for him, for his posterity, and now all his children and grandchildren are on Facebook, have liked the page, and now they're part of it. And I'm the administrator right now, but soon I'm going to get one of my nieces or nephews on as administrator so that, even though, like Joey, I'm going to live forever, if it doesn't happen, I have an accident or die, that somebody else will already have power over that's in the family.
So that Incoherent Ramblings can be officially jealous. How many likes does that page have?
That page actually has 17 or 18 likes.
Oh! It's ahead of us.
What do we have?
I don't know.
Actually,
13.
I think we got 19.
Oh, we do?
Do we?
We beat you.
All right.
Oh,
We beat the dead guy.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I've actually put into place some death bits for forums and stuff that I have. I have a friend of mine that's gonna, if something passes, we have a mutual agreement that to log in and to let the community know that we have passed.
Yeah. I think the law has to catch up with that too, because a lot of user agreements say that your password is non-transferable. So you're actually breaking the agreement by doing that. But it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't have them log in as me, but they would go to the site and just give out the information.
Okay, so not necessarily have to log in. As
No, they would just go on the forum and say, Paul died for this. I'm just letting you guys know or whatever, and then so they don't know why. Why haven't I logged in for like a year?
Right. Your friend's kind of slow. Seriously, a year?
Yeah.
Man, all right.
Well, I didn't we don't have a timeline on it.
I haven't thought too much about it. This is what I thought about. Only one thing. I wanted to have videos for people to watch after death.
Oh, interesting.
That was the one thing I still want to do it, where I can talk. I think that's
You've
the coolest
invented
thing.
a way for people to watch videos after death?
Wow.
Wow.
Yes,
Holy
Kale.
shit.
Yes.
Heaven tube.
Oh, sorry. I swore again. Damn it.
Hell tube. No, I always wanted to
Purgatory
being
tube.
like, hey, Paul, what's going on? I'm dead. Woo! Check it out.
Yeah, that would be great. Like you set up on Twitter and stuff, so every month or
that would be really cool.
It'll just be like at the beach.
Yeah.
Getting a
I
burger.
think if you do that video, you have to have a slow motion shot of you doing the bro, took one for the team kind of thing.
Well, but it's also one of those things
that's the last shot of the video.
Especially for people that are really, really close to you and loved ones, you want to kind of let them know things you might not have said while you were alive, or to reassure them. Because I know if I ever go, I want my wife I want her to be okay, and maybe some video of me saying you'll be okay will help. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, remember that Michael Keaton movie, My Life or whatever, and he recorded a bunch of video for shot out? I think that now that would be a very cool thing to do. You know, have some stuff so in case you pass, you can have something for your kids to watch.
I remember Next Generation that Wesley Crusher's dad had the hologram, the holodeck. The
holodeck!
Wesley! And it was him telling him how scared he was becoming a father and this and that, and I hope you can grow up, whatever. So it's kind of like the same thing, but in Star Trek land.
So, well, okay, there's also...
we didn't ask Booger.
Yeah,
Booger, go.
Okay, yes.
Death bits, go.
I think whenever I die, I just want my profile picture to change to a potato. That'll be the clue to everybody.
Eat my potato.
We go on, it says, Booger's, or Robert Magallanes' profile picture has changed. No! Not the potato!
Wait, his relationship status is mashed.
Okay, no, a potato just means he's in a coma. A mashed potato means he's dead. Okay,
means he died in a Pontiac.
This is something dude. Okay, this is something I thought of actually a while back, and I didn't realize until now that it kind of relates to death bits. I think in the future we're going to be probably recording most of our lives in one way or another, so that we can
Google Glass.
Yeah, exactly, Google Glass, or we'll know what's happening in our life. We can look back and say, what was I doing 10 years ago? And there'll be video or information. But for right now, a lot of us don't have that. Just keep blocking the mic with my elbow. A lot of us don't have that ability. We just have bits and pieces of our life. So I think in the future, one type of hobby might be
weird science. Bits and pieces.
Dude, you know I'm going to forget what I'm saying if you do stuff like that. So what's going to happen in the future is a hobby will be to try to recreate the lives of certain ancestors. Like you might be like, what was my great-great-great-grandfather's life? And then you try to get all the parts on the internet. They're all over the place. Like you get pictures and videos, and you try to establish a whole timeline of his life as much as you can.
It's kind of like what Ancestry.com does already for people.
But you want to only want the good stuff.
There would be much more documentation.
Exactly, but almost because Ancestry.com right now is trying to find what little bit. Yeah, I guess you're right. Find what little bits and pieces there are. But imagine there's just a ton of
physical pieces because they didn't have a Facebook account in 1912.
Not that we know of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, they didn't.
Oh, no, it was secret.
So we got to record everything.
Big Pharma kept it a secret from everyone.
They did. And they blew up the World Trade Center.
That's right.
Where's Booger? Dude, there's just like a bed. No, there he is.
He's recording himself.
Yeah.
He's getting the rollout bed.
But, you know... with Google Glass and stuff, I'm not quite sure we'd want to record everything.
I think it's just going to happen, though. I don't think it's going to be...
To me, that'd be pretty boring.
Yeah, exactly.
To record, to watch somebody's life.
But the thing is, with it's not for that reason. It's going to be for, memory is not going to be a problem. We can record as much as possible.
Reality shows.
Yeah, it'd have to be,
but that's what I'm saying is, it's there. You don't have to go to it until you want to go there. There's no problem with storing a whole life of information.
Yeah.
And it's there. We don't have to watch it. But if we say, oh, I want to find this part of my life, we can find it.
Well, future episode idea about... how to deal with all this data and everything. But I think search is what becomes important there, because it doesn't matter if you record everything that comes in through your eyes 24/7 if you have a really good search algorithm. Like you go, oh, I want to relive that really cool car ride I had with someone or whatever. And you go like, when was that? You don't even have to know the date, but you're just like, driving a Lamborghini.
Did I
search that algorithm,
right?
when you store all that data, then it comes down to the metadata. You really need good metadata in there to find everything.
And if everything can be like automatically tagged.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing, like you can skip all the boring bits and just go to the stuff that's really important.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm saying is there'll be a point where that's going to happen where we're going to get recorded, but there's going to be a point before that's possible. And so what's going to happen is people are going to try to rebuild these separate lost parts of our lives that are just hidden over.
Well, just don't search grandma sex.
Never.
Yeah, they're gonna be
never.
like, whoa!
Never search grandma sex.
Speaking of things like that, though, that does bring up
reason.
That does kind of bring us
lemonparty.org.
Hopefully,
back to the privacy thing. I remember somebody, a friend of mine that was in a band, just went to this estate sale and they saw like these canisters of film, and one of our friends had an 8mm projector, so he's like, what the heck, I'll buy these like little canisters for $1 and see what's on them.
Oh god.
one of them was like apparently someone's grandparents in like the like 40s or 50s doing a black and white porno.
Wait, were they grandparents at the time or were they young?
They were young.
Oh, no problem.
But it's like, this
Still
was
kinda
out of the
weird,
States,
yeah.
So it's like, okay, if you were
have a
involved in making something like that,
Do you have a copy?
no, I don't. But I mean, just think about it though. Like, isn't it a little creepy to think that like whatever we all know what we've done, right? Especially Joey and I. Just kidding.
Dude,
Just
stop
kidding.
it, all right? Stop
kidding.
Stop making your little voices in my ear. Stop talking about our
People
love
at
notes.
home, that was just a joke. So anyway, but the thing is,
Donkey sex.
the thing is, just think about the most embarrassing thing that you've ever put on digital or as a photograph or as
there
a
we
film.
go.
And think about some stranger picking it up at an estate sale and perhaps, or
Dude,
maybe,
look what
kids or
look at my screen.
grandparents.
You're describing exactly what I have. I got this at an estate sale. A whole bunch of old pictures.
That doesn't look like a porno.
Yeah.
And those are kids. That's sick.
That's sick.
You're a sick man.
So going
keep
back to
these?
Michael Jackson. Yes. Oh, never mind.
That's an old picture.
Dude, stop it.
I
You're
like how you combined the two there.
Well, I remember going to it must have been old folks' home or whatever. It's over in Monrovia, and they were having a estate sales type thing, and finding somebody's social security card.
Oh yeah,
It's like
it's interesting.
I
But is
gave it
it
to the
all that important when?
Yeah, well, it's sad that
They're
when you
passed on.
pass.
Right.
I mean, you're only. Well, it may be different now that everything's being digital
Yeah.
and archived, where more generations can learn about you. But really, you're only good for like 2 generations. It's like my son will remember me, and hopefully my grandchildren will remember me. But once it gets to my great grandchildren, I may not be around, so they'll have no memory of me, and basically my legacy is lost once my son and my grandchildren pass on.
Unless they listen to incoherent ramblings.
That's the thing with these digital assets and content, and you can live on.
Yeah.
But we can also think of things as maybe like involving the singularity. You were talking about like why
Involve the
record
singularity?
so much stuff. Well, if the machine brain interface works out and everything, and we have immense processing power. It's like we can cull all that information to get down to the stuff that's important to us.
And digital
and makers
assistants are going to be able to go and specifically find things that you want and spend a lot of time, like a full-time job, finding these things that you want and bringing them back to you.
What would be great is if in the future where it is recording all of our experiences, whether like Star Trek or your personal logs and stuff, to where the singularity comes or just technology evolves to where they can create you as an artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So your great grandchildren can go, I wonder what great grandpa Kale would have done in this situation. Say that to the computer, boom, you pop up, and because of all the information that they've recorded about you, the computer would be able to piece together what you would have done or
Right.
what they think you would have done.
Right.
Just the holodeck.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So-
Didn't they do that on Star Trek where they recreated somebody to ask them questions?
They
Oh no,
have.
that was Data, and he had Stephen Hawking
Yeah.
and Einstein.
Holodeck.
They've done other stuff.
Oh no, he was playing poker with him.
Jordy did it too.
Yeah.
So let's move on. I don't know what to go to next as my computer shut down. So,
Oh my.
thank you. There we go. So, existing solutions. Have we even looked at that at all? No, we haven't.
Not well. We talked about memorializing on
Right.
Facebook. Also, the inactive account manager for Google. Those are some.
I are
new
specialists to
solutions.
deal with your legacy. Yeah, we did. We kind of go over all that
We
stuff.
kind of talked
So let's
about
talk about what's to come. What's to come?
Are you gonna do the account impersonation again?
1, 2. I got.
This is, oh my god! This is like Cheech Marin voicing.
What the hell were you doing?
I was doing the count having an orgasm. When he has an orgasm, he counts them.
A cow?
Okay,
Count from Sesame Street.
You know the count.
The Count.
who just Microsoft punked us?
Oh, good.
He restarted down there.
So when
it's Joey.
It's me. Sorry, my computer went. So when the count has an orgasm, he goes 1.
C is for come. Oh, God. And that's okay with me.
So Grover and the Count, got it. So let's talk about...
Grover.
I'm close.
Captain America sitting
Now I'm far. Now I'm closer. All right.
I want this to be buried when I die. All right. Just
By the
burn
way,
this episode, please.
Please read the
I
show
am
notes.
I am so sorry I recorded this YouTube.
Please read the show notes for episode 11 and 12, and you will see Guillermo.
Oh. What a train wreck.
So what are their...
That's good.
Train wrecks are always the best.
have we
trust
ended?
me.
Are we done?
No, we're not done. We're talking about what's to come. Remember the Count?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Wait, what did he go up to?
there?
Two.
Right.
Wait, is that a girl?
Only 2.
All right.
Oh my. Okay. So,
Okay, yeah. So, industry heading for the digital side of funeral arrangements. What do you guys think about that? Because right now funerals are very classical. There's nothing to do with computers for the most part. I don't know.
I found a big list of companies that either specialize in managing this kind of thing, or they'll do it as like a byproduct of their. Some of them are kind of like online lockers where you can put things in there, and then they're going to be released to trusted people once you're gone, that kind of thing. But like I said, some of them. What I was trying to say was some of them they have services and features that can be used by the living, but they also will manage digital things after you're gone. But I don't want to go in and name them by name. You can, if you Google it, you can find a big list of companies that do this. But I do think it's going to be kind of like a burgeoning market, because this is the kind of thing that, whether or not people realize it, I think almost everyone needs, except for, my mom. She doesn't use a computer or a cell phone or anything, so she has like basically no online presence that's hers. Mm-hmm. So she wouldn't need this kind of thing. But
with the
anyone
baby
else
boomers getting older, and they're the ones who are going to be dying in larger numbers, they're going to have to think about these things.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to have to be something they're going to have to plan for. And I totally believe that, like you said, already things are popping up, but I think it'll just explode with all these companies trying to provide, I guess, death bits or afterlife type of benefits.
And there are some organizations out there that are trying to create awareness, help the law along in these lines, because it's usually down to the state level that all these things are determined. So things like transference of someone's password to next of kin is one of those things that's being litigated state to state, and not everyone's on the same page with those laws. So there are advocacy groups and awareness groups that are just tackling this issue too. So I think that things are starting, but it's not ballooning to the level of everyone being aware of it. And I think that Google being really public about their inactive account thing is probably the seed that's going to bring this to everyone's attention and really get it out there, because it hit the news circuit pretty hard. I think that most even mainstream news outlets they gave it some coverage.
So do you think a smarter internet can help automate the process so
I
that
sure
it's no
did.
longer a time or expense for survivors? That didn't make any sense.
Well, because this kind of thing could be a real pain, it's like
From someone
you've
who's been
got an online mess in your life, and then someone has to clean it up for you after you're gone.
Yeah, and because everything's its own separate silo, it's not like it's not just one internet. It's not just
I feel better with a
The
silo.
interoperability of the
I feel better
data
with a
from
silo
one place to
nearby.
another. You do.
Wow, really?
And you know what?
How
And-
1990 of you.
Thanks.
and people have different personas too on each different
Rhetoric.
site.
Yeah.
What I share on Facebook isn't than what I share and what I show people who I am is not necessarily what
That's
I'll
also a good point.
show on a forum about like Tron or something like that. I'm not
Exactly.
going to tell people where I live or about what I do with I was going to say with my
Well,
how my kids and I play. Wait, how I interact? No, how I'm a father.
But you're right, because I treat something like Facebook as being extremely public facing, and I know that I'm going to encounter people there that are not only friends and family, but business acquaintances and things like that. When it comes to something like Google Plus, you can use circles to help discriminate. Like, this is for my friends, this is for my family, and this is for the broader audience. So some services do a better job of delimiting those regions better than others. And I just think that what really needs to happen is just some standardization about how data can be portable from one place to another, how there's a standard interface to say, I want this to go to just my circle of friends, this other thing to go to my professional acquaintances. But now the silo thing almost in a way does that for us because, for example, LinkedIn is very professional oriented, but then Facebook is usually more like friends and family. So
but it's just having to go in and you'll have to list all these different silos for somebody to go through. It's not like an easy magic button where it's like, okay, go to, you almost need a site to where you go to and they manage everything for you. You have to make a will. You have to make statements that's going to go, this goes to this site, this goes to this site, this goes to this site, and then they send it out there for you.
I think that's where some expertise comes into play because if you get someone who's very familiar with the estate law in your region, then they can help direct the management of how those wishes will be carried out. So when you draft a will, consulting with someone who's knowledgeable about the digital aspect of it is probably pretty important. And I also want to mention that it's not just online presence, but also, I look at my own computer and I think, there's some works here that I would really like people to carry forward. And things like home movies, I definitely want everyone to see. And then there are other things on there that I would just as soon have it go away.
I like in your notes, burn when I die.
Burn!
Foreign folder, burn when I die. Don't need that anymore. Don't need anyone seeing it.
What I said.
I'm taking it with me.
But you can't, or can you?
I want to be buried with my
But the thing is that
if you don't designate it when you die, a lot of stuff is just going to end. And it might be stuff that you really wanted to, like as a writer, there's lots of stuff that I've written. I want to make sure that it goes online forever.
But then there might be other things you wrote that you think might be really hurtful if someone sees it. And you...
What do I care? I'm going to be dead.
Well, that's one of the points of view.
Thanks,
that's another point of view too about this whole
here.
Screw you, Paul. Yeah. Screw you, Daryl. And Booger.
I'm gonna drop trowel in front of your tombstone and just let it rip.
But that's another way of looking at it. You can just say, "Who cares about this stuff? I'm dead anyway."
Yeah,
that's true.
Why worry about it?
Kind of like this podcast.
This podcast died an hour.
An hour.
Yeah,
we're good to go.
Hour podcast.
1 hour.
Sucky. It's hot in here.
So one other thing that I think would be
my Thursday night swamp ass.
aside
ball sweat.
In addition to the standard portability of information, you mentioned meta tagging earlier, Paul, and I think that having some standardized tags would be really nice, not only for your personal computer stuff, but things online. Just be able to tag something that says completely private, only accessible with my personal password, and then other things that are like accessible by the secondary logon that I'm going to give people when I die, that kind of thing. So that way you could really determine by using some flags or meta tags to say, look, I want this to be something that survives me, and this other thing to be something that dies with me. So,
right.
Okay, Booger, I don't know what you're doing.
What are you doing?
But it sounds like you're having
trying to hide a burp, I think.
He sounds like he's got stomach distress. No, I think it's his bed, but it sounds like it's like.
I'm on the couch right now.
Oh.
it was the couch.
The
or
couch.
fart.
It just sounds like
It's the couch potato.
you're about to have diarrhea. I don't know. It's weird.
Potatoes.
The slipperies, yes.
Oh, Jimmy.
All right.
I think we've talked this to death.
Just a bit. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, to death. Anybody want to add anything about this dead podcast?
Oh, you got disconnected.
When I die, this is what I want everybody to listen
jeez.
I think I broke your.
You broke Apocalypse.
I'm sorry.
God.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I have a case of crazy glue.
How does one break Apocalypse?
Like this.
Yeah, it's okay.
Wow. Okay.
I got a 4-year-old. I got plenty of crazy glue sticks.
So there was Death Bits. Colorful. I didn't think it was going to be this colorful. It was very colorful.
It was.
I think it was funny.
Actually, I think this is going to be a good
Had
one.
some fun parts.
I think this is going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen, even though it was all over the frickin' place.
That's what we do. It's incoherent.
That's why it's Incoherent Ramblings! Right, Ralph? Yeah!
All right.
I found us.
So, next week, Booger, it's your choice. What are we going to do?
Walter.
Hey, look who's in the camera.
Oh, you got on camera.
Silent
He
but
walked.
deadly.
He walked into it himself. It's his own fault.
Yep.
That's true. So, what are we
All right,
doing next week? It's your choice.
Chicken.
Is everybody okay with my original idea from last time?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then I choose. I know. I don't necessarily want it to get political, as somebody else also made the same comment. But I think, generally speaking, maybe we all should all pitch in our perspectives, both past and present, on marriage.
Marriage
As a whole. Not necessarily. Like I said, not necessarily
Did he say marriage?
anything
No
that's
way.
going on in political. Just that inspired me to go into what we have all perceived the idea of marriage should be in our own lives. So
All right.
That's what
That's cool.
brings us here today.
Yes.
Silent marriage.
Marriage.
Speaking of death sentence,
Dude.
marriage.
Yes.
Is a sacred institution.
We're already mocking it. Stop it.
Hey.
Stop mocking it.
No.
Save it till next week.
Oh, I will be mocking it.
go Prop 8.
All right, then.
All right, so I think we're done for today. So remember out there, if you love this episode, please let us know. You can reach our email at...
And check into an institution, please. You shouldn't be on the street, okay? I'm pleading with you.
So
Before another person has to die.
from your institution,
And deal with your bits.
please email us at show@IamRambling.com. If you want to privately speak to one of us, just put our name, Joey, Paul, Daryl, Kale, or Booger, in front of @IamRambling.com.
Yeah. That,
Camera.
So,
Joey, you're so
stop it! No, stop it. Oh, they're whispering in the mic, and my headphones are just so good.
You're just so smooth.
Does that mean the microphone's giving you head?
Oh, dude, that was freaky. The right ear. Oh, don't stop it. Okay, so this is Joe. We're ending. Okay, this is Joey Schammel. You can find me at IamRambling.com. Paul.
Paul Hottinger. At heyitspaul.com.
And I'm Cale Anderson. You can reach me at romsrants@blogspot.com.
And I am Daryl Jors. You can reach me at
Stop it. You're freaking.
Jors.com.
You're like passing through.
G-O-R-I-S.
Dude. Anybody on stereo is getting what I'm getting right now. It's pretty damn crazy. Is that real? Very well. Booger, where can we find you this week?
Well, I don't know if I should stay. Every time I try talking, these guys mess with their microphone and then you can't hear me.
Yeah, they're bastards.
Okay, and go.
All right, I could be found at all the lights glow green after 9coronas.com.
All right.
Okay, so we are done for today. We made it through Death Bitch. Yay! Next week, marriage.
It's a death bitch.
Thanks for listening. You can now stop screaming at the open air. Listeners should put their minds back in their upright positions and resume traditional thinking. Find us on IamRambling.com for access to all of our weekly ramblings, show notes, general discussions, and any projects from Incoherent Ramblings. Like us on Facebook and rate us on iTunes. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
And we're going. That was not silence.
Dude, it was the guinea pig.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh,
He sneezed.
It wasn't Ralph.
sorry, Joe. Ralph.
10 seconds starting now. What the hell was that?
Yeah, sure.
What does he watch?
He's got like Steve Winwood on his phone or something.
Is that your wife?
Is that the Pop-Tart little
No.
flying thing?
All right. 10 seconds.
Okay.
Of silence.
Oh,
The
just
guinea
go
pig
action.
sneezes. What the hell? We just need 10 seconds of silence.
He had to
Oh,
light
I'm
fire.
sorry. There was a delay.
He had to light firecrackers.
What was
Out of
that?
nowhere.
Dude.
That was me crinkling the bag.
That was his Mick interracial.
Oh, so you did it on purpose, you bastard.